Hey, welcome to DKDS Analytics, and thank you for joining this special live session on real-world data cleaning. Today, we're not just talking about data, we're actually going to clean it together, step by step. This session is part of our long-format tutorials to help you build hands-on experience and develop the confidence to work with raw, messy data sets, just like a professional data analyst. Before we begin, let me give you a quick overview of the tools we'll be using in this session. First, we'll use Google Colab. This is where all our Python code and data manipulation will happen. If you've never used it before, don't worry. It's beginner-friendly, runs in the cloud, and doesn't require installation. We'll also use Microsoft Excel for quick inspection and preview of tabular data. It helps to visualize some of the structure before we code. To document our process and save key notes, we'll also briefly use Microsoft Word, especially if you're learning or creating a portfolio. Keeping a record of your steps is super important. And finally, we'll be calling on ChatGPT to assist us, especially during dataset simulation. You'll see how powerful it is as a coding companion and a brainstorming tool. So, just to recap, in this live series, we're working with Google Colab, Microsoft Excel, Microsoft Word, and ChatGPT. All of them are accessible, beginner-friendly, and super valuable in a real-world data cleaning workflow. Alright, tools ready? Let's move into the next section where we'll identify the niche we're working on and start generating the dataset live using ChatGPT. Welcome back. In this section, we're diving into the real work. Before we clean anything, we need to first know what kind of data we're working with, and that means choosing a niche. For this live session, we've selected a very practical and familiar domain, retail. Why retail? Because it's relatable, messy, and full of the kinds of errors and patterns you'll see in the real world, like product names, customer IDs, prices, missing values, and more. Now that we have our niche, we need a data set, but instead of using a pre-made one, we're going to generate it ourselves using ChatGPT. Yes, that's right. We'll write a live prompt to ChatGPT asking it to simulate messy retail data for us. This will let us practice data cleaning on something dynamic and slightly unpredictable. The prompt we write is very important. It should include the number of rows we want, what columns we expect, and the kind of messiness we want it to introduce, like typos, missing values, duplicates, or inconsistent formatting. Let's head over to ChatGPT now and write that prompt together. We'll keep it clear and specific, and I'll show you how small changes in your prompt can lead to very different datasets. Once we get the dataset from ChatGPT, we'll copy it into Google Colab and prepare to begin the cleaning process in the next section. Alright, let's create our prompt and see what ChatGPT gives us. Alright, I've now pasted my pre-generated prompt into ChatGPT. If you're following along, feel free to pause this video and copy the same prompt into your ChatGPT window. Here's exactly what the prompt says. Create a simulated retail dataset with 150 rows. The dataset should include the following columns: customer ID, product name, quantity, unit price, total cost, purchase date, payment method, and store location. Introduce realistic imperfections such as missing values in some rows, especially quantity, payment method, and store location, typos or inconsistent capitalization in product name and payment method, a few duplicate entries, inconsistent date formats in purchase, date, e.g. YYMMDD, DDMMYYY, return the dataset in tabular format suitable for copying into Excel or Python. We hit enter, ChatGPT processes, and boom! After a few seconds, our dataset is ready. Now let's go ahead and download that data. It's in CSV format, which is perfect for Excel and Python analysis. Next, we'll move into Google Colab, our coding playground for this live session. Open your browser and head to google.com. Type in Google Colab and click the very first result. Once you're in, click on New Notebook. Give it a few seconds to load. Now we're inside Colab. First thing, let's rename our notebook to something professional and clear. Call it Live Session Data Cleaning with DKDS Analytics. Next up, we need to import some important Python libraries. If you already know them, great, you can write them directly. But if you're new or unsure, don't worry. That's what ChatGPT is here for. Let's switch back to ChatGPT and ask it to generate a clean Python snippet for importing essential data cleaning libraries. Let's go. Good. ChatGPT has just given us the code snippets to import the core libraries, like pandas and NumPy, and some extra libraries for data visualization like matplotlib and Seaborn. It also added optional display settings and even a line to suppress warnings so your output stays clean and readable. Let's run this cell by clicking the play icon, or you can use the shortcut Ctrl+Enter. Next step, we need to upload the dataset to Google Colab. Click the folder icon on the left sidebar to open the file panel. Once it expands, just drag and drop your dataset CSV file right into this space. Perfect. You've now uploaded your dataset. Now let's load the dataset into our notebook. Click the Code button to add a new code cell. Don't click Text. That's for notes and markdown. Inside the code cell, begin writing df equals pd.readcsv open parenthesis, and you'll see that Google Colab actually gives you suggestions as you type. To accept a suggestion, simply press the tab key, and sometimes you might need to press it multiple times as Colab guides you through the full line of code. Now for the file path, go back to the left panel where your file is listed. Click the 3 vertical dots beside the file name and select Copy Path. Paste this path inside your Read CSV function and run the cell using Ctrl+Enter or the play button. Boom! Your dataset is now loaded into the notebook and ready for action. Before jumping into cleaning, let's make our life easier by creating a step-by-step checklist. To do this, we'll go back to the same ChatGPT window and ask for a checklist in table format. Here's the exact prompt. Since I'm doing the practices, I will need you to give me a checklist for data cleaning steps in a table format and make it in your canvas. ChatGPT will generate a structured checklist. Just copy it and paste it into Microsoft Word for easy access. Now drag your Word document beside Google Colab and set up a split screen view like this. That way, you can follow each checklist item while working in Colab. Alright, we're fully set up. Let's begin our data cleaning journey. Alright, let's get our hands dirty. Time to inspect the dataset we just loaded. Now that we've got the file in our notebook, we want to get a quick understanding of its structure, how many rows and columns it has, what kind of data we're working with, and what potential issues we might need to clean up. We'll begin with the .info method. When you run df-info, you'll get a summary of the dataset, total number of entries, column names, data types, and how many non-null values exist in each column. This is super helpful because it immediately tells you if there are missing values, and it shows you the data types that might need fixing. Next, let's look at df.head. This command displays the first 5 rows of the dataset, so you can quickly see what the actual data looks like. It helps spot things like inconsistent formatting, weird capitalization, or unexpected values at a glance. Now try df.sample. Unlike head, this one grabs a random row. Super useful for checking if odd values appear throughout the dataset, not just at the top. It gives you a more realistic snapshot of the data in the wild. And finally, dfDescribe gives us the statistical summary for numeric columns. You'll see values like mean, standard deviation, minimum, and maximum, which helps you spot things like negative prices or outliers in quantity. It's a powerful way to get a sense of what normal looks like in your data. So now that we understand the dataset structure and content, what if we find missing values? That brings us to our next step. To identify missing values, we'll use .isNull.sum or .isNA. These will show you how many NaNs or blanks you have in each column. Remember, in our dataset, we purposely introduced missing values in fields like quantity, payment method, and store location. So, let's see how they show up now. Once we've identified them, it's time to decide how to handle those missing values. You've got a few options depending on the situation. You can fill the blanks using fillNA, maybe with an average or a placeholder like unknown. Or you can drop the rows entirely using dropNA. But be cautious, especially if the missing values are in important columns. Another way is to use imputation. This means using logic from the dataset to estimate a likely value. For example, if most customers use cash, you might fill missing payment methods with cash. Once our missing values are under control, let's move on to fixing data types. Sometimes a column looks like a number, but it's stored as text. Or maybe dates are still in string format. To fix this, we'll use asType to convert things like quantity or unit price to floats or integers. And for columns like purchase date, we'll use PD to datetime to convert them into actual date formats. Getting these data types right is essential. Otherwise, your visualizations or calculations might break or give wrong results. Alright, that wraps up our section 5. We've now explored the dataset, spotted missing values, handled them, and made sure our data types are in order. Let's keep going. You're doing great. Alright, now that we've handled missing values and fixed data types, let's take things a step further. In this section, we're going to clean and refine the dataset even more, making it trustworthy and analysis ready. Let's begin with outliers, strange or extreme values that can distort your analysis. We'll focus on numeric fields like quantity and unit price. You can use the interquartile range, IQR, method or z-score analysis to detect these outliers. Box plots are also a great visual way to spot outliers quickly. If a value looks suspiciously high or low, it's worth investigating. Next up, standardizing string values. Sometimes a single category appears in many forms. For example, you might see cash, cash, cache, and even cache, all meaning the same thing. To clean that up, we'll use .strlower, .strstrip, and .replace. This ensures consistency in categorical columns like payment method or store location. Now let's remove or flag duplicate records. We'll use .duplicated to check for repeated rows and .drop duplicates to remove them if needed. Also, be sure to check for duplicates in specific fields, like customer ID plus purchase date, which might indicate a repeated transaction. Coming up next, validation of calculations. Let's double check that total cost is actually equal to quantity times unit price. Sometimes, errors slip in during data entry, and this simple step ensures your numeric columns agree with each other. Another common issue is inconsistent formats. For example, maybe someone entered free instead of 0.0 or wrote NA in different ways. Using regex or a few smart replace bus commands, we can standardize these into proper numeric or NaN values. Next, let's clean up the column names themselves. Using .rename, we can convert column headers into clear snake case labels. For example, total cost becomes total cost. It makes your code more readable and easier to work with when you start analyzing or visualizing the data. Now let's go one step further by creating useful new columns. For instance, we can create a revenue column by multiplying quantity and unit price again, even if the dataset already has total cost. Derived columns like this are super helpful for segmentation, visualization, and even forecasting. And finally, save your cleaned dataset. Always keep a backup of both the original and the cleaned version. You can use .to CSV or .to Excel to export your work. And now you've got a polished, validated dataset that's ready for analysis or machine learning. That's a wrap for this section. From detecting outliers to fixing formats, you've done the heavy lifting of data cleaning, and you're building real job-ready skills. In the next part, we'll start making sense of this data through exploration and visualization. Let's keep going. This marks the end of our live data cleaning session. We've walked through every critical step, and now our data set is finally clean and ready for analysis or visualization. Thanks for sticking with me. You're doing great. Until then, keep practicing, stay curious, and I'll see you in the next one.